Welcome to Focus on the Five, conversations with Baldwin County business leaders and entrepreneurs, brought to you by Josh Knoll of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. And now, Josh Knoll.
Hi everyone, welcome to Focus on the Five, conversations with Baldwin County, Alabama area entrepreneurs and business leaders. I'm your host, Josh Knoll of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. We are coming to you today from the studios of WABF 1480, located here in beautiful downtown Fairhope, Alabama. My guest today has leveraged years of construction experience to quickly establish his company, his contracting company, as one of the premier providers of residential and commercial construction in Baldwin and Mobile counties. With all that said, let's give a big welcome to Mr. Matt Lomax of BluBuilt Contracting. Matt, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. All right. So, with a name like BluBuilt, BLUBUILT, spelling was not my strong suit, but there has to be a story. What's the story of BluBuilt?
I kind of just starts with me. Grew up in Saraland, Alabama. Was in construction from an early age. Sorry. My father was an electrician. He kind of ruined me and my brother from ever being an electrician. You know, being a ditch witch for him for the better part of our high school years. But went to high school in Mobile. Went on to Alabama, got a sales and marketing degree there. Tried to stay as far away as I could from construction, and
That sounds familiar.
oh yeah. Went and started out maybe in the sales and industrial and mechanical world, and then wound up coming full circle, coming back home. Had an opportunity to get right back into construction against my father's wishes, but I did a couple stints in some small to medium type builders in the area, all the way up through a 200 home industry with Truland Homes, and went in from a superintendent all the way through to a COO by the time I left. But in getting back to why the BluBuilt and the blue color, you and I spoke about this before. It's when we were there, we did personality tests. So everybody, took all these little weird tests, and it turns out there's only 4 colors that a person can be: red, blue, green, and yellow. I'm known as what is a blue, so it's an introverted thinker type person. So that's where the BluBuilt came from. So anyhow, we kind of closed that chapter of my life back in 2017. Had an opportunity to build a house for a friend of mine, and we just kind of went off and running from there. And now we've kind of gotten into more of the remodel side than new construction, and like you and I have also spoke about on the commercial side as well. So.
Okay. Well, so when you were coming up in the housing construction industry around here, you probably started at a time where things were not quite as nuts as they are now.
Right.
I mean, tell the listener a little bit about some of the journeys you had early, because you started out, even Truland was not huge when you started with them.
Our first year we did 14 houses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last year you were there?
220 something, 220-ish.
And you had a hand in all those? I mean, were those all under your purview in some form or fashion?
Yeah, by the time I left, I was over pretty much everything but selling the houses and financing them. So construction, estimating, warranty, a little bit of IT. We did just about everything was under my purview. So.
I would imagine that was like riding a bucking bronco during that time.
It's I equate it to drinking through a fire hose every day. Every day we woke up, 200 houses.
Right.
200 houses in the manufacturing plant, 200 houses that were warranty, and that never changed. All throughout, the year. So.
Well, but learned a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
All facets of the business.
Learned how we messed up a lot.
Sure.
We were young back then.
Right.
We went from 14 houses all the way up to, like I said, 220 a year.
You're going to break some stuff.
You're going to skin your knee. You're going to break some bones. You're going to figure it out as you go along, and we did that, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Love it. All right, so with BluBuilt, what all services do y'all offer?
I tell everybody our main business is we solve problems. What is a problem? You got a house to build. That's a problem for you. You can't build it on your own. You got a house to modify. That's a problem. Commercial property to build. Commercial property to modify. Or just general property repairs. As I said, having 200 houses a year under my belt, as well as thousands, throughout my tenure, we've seen everything that could possibly go wrong, and we've learned how to fix it all. So we get calls all the time about, it generally people get stuck on a particular project. Either that's they've been through the rigor with several other builders and want something different, or they just generally got a problem at a property and they need somebody to come help them with it.
Right.
You know, we've seen it all, we've done it all, and like I said, we've seen how to mess it up, so we know how to do it right too.
Well, and back when I was in the industry, you know, I would get overwhelmed when I had 6 homes to build.
Right.
Like one time I had 10 homes going at once, and I had no life.
Yeah.
But I had buddies that were building 50, 60, 70 at one time. And so my thing was, I think some people are wired to handle that monstrosity, if you will, and some people
Right.
like a little bit more personal touch.
Right.
Did you feel like towards the end that you were getting away from the personal touch, or what did you?
A little bit. I think when you get into that 200 to maybe 250 range, you start losing that a little bit, and you start losing. You can't get to everything. There's not enough. You can certainly have the staff to do all that,
Sure.
but then the overhead that comes with that won't, you know, it won't equate out to a profitable business.
Right.
So you can continue to throw people and staff and money at it, but at the end of the day, you've got to make a jump, and it's almost easier, and we spoke about this before, to make that jump to like 500 homes
Right.
versus going from 250 to 300.
Right.
Because you've already got a sub base set up to support that 200 to 250 range. You can't get the same kind of pricing out of just adding 50 more homes to your manufacturing plant.
Right.
You know, you're going to have to get a whole nother subset of subs and vendors and everybody else that can support that and have that same kind of volume that you're giving your guys right now. You
Well,
know?
and I think it's fair to say, I know you well enough, met you basically because you were incredibly kind to my son through basketball
Right.
when you had no reason to be. I mean, we were always just super impressed with that. So I've always felt like you were big on relationships.
We are.
Do you feel like with the business you have going now, you have more opportunity to develop those relationships?
A lot more. I used to tell everybody back, you know, when I was working with a bigger builder, that if you met me, it meant there was a problem somewhere.
Right.
You know, I didn't get to meet a lot of the customers, and if I did, it was because we had an issue and I had to go out and talk to them. So I'm enjoying that side of it a lot more. Being able to get out and meet people and involved with the project on the front end, as opposed to just it being handed to you, you know, in an operating sense of
Right.
here's the roadmap, here's what this customer wants to do, Matt, go deal with it.
Right.
You know, I'm on the front end of it, which
Right.
helps out a lot.
I agree. I used to always tell my clients, if you see me on site with a hammer in my hands, something went really
I don't
wrong.
have calluses.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, I
exactly.
go home now. My dad makes fun of my hands.
Yep.
It's just pitiful. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, so when'd you get your last manicure? Kind
That's
of thing,
right. That's right.
It's pitiful. All right. So in a super competitive local industry, for the listeners that are not familiar with Baldwin County, Eastern Shore, there's a lot of people moving here.
Yep.
And you've got some pretty good sized builders. You got a lot of guys in the business. How do you distinguish BluBuilt?
I'd say the first thing is we're lean. You know, we're keeping our circle small right now. You know, you've seen me and seen what I drive. I drive a little Prius around.
Mhm.
You know, and that's kind of our.
You don't drive it, you wear it.
I do. I do. I wear it. I wear it with pride every day. But you know, we don't have hunting camps to go pay for, and you know, big giant yachts that we're skiing behind. We're staying small. We're keeping our business small, and we're staying lean. That translates over to the customer. You know, we can do things that other people aren't either willing to do, or they can't get to in this marketplace. Like you said, it's hot right now. So
Right.
the things that the bigger contractors and bigger builders are going after, let me back up, aren't going after because their normal business is taking a lot of their focus. We're able to go do the little niche products that other people aren't.
Right.
The other thing is we're just honest, man. Like you just touched on, I want to be able to go down to the grocery store and not have to do this.
Sure.
You know, it's just not worth it to us.
Right.
You know, we could certainly go set up an operation and it'd be millions of projects and everything else, but I've been down that road before.
Right.
So I enjoy more of this.
Right.
These days.
and I operated in what became a really hot market back in the mid 2000s, and what happens a lot of times too is people, the general public that maybe is not familiar with our line or my previous line, your line of work,
Right.
is the subs are so crazy busy that they'll
It's
call to
nuts.
get, they'll call to get additional water line run in a house and they'll get a bill for, several $1,000s.
Right.
And part of that I think is the subs are busy enough where they can only justify doing it by a big number.
Right.
And part of it too is I just don't think there's enough guys like you out there to kind of help the public out. Like, no, you don't. It doesn't need to be that extensive.
Right.
Is that fair?
It is, and we talk ourselves out of a lot of business
Right.
because we're honest with folks. Sure, we could go in there. All right, Mr. Matt, we want you to do this, and it has X, Y, and Z on it. I can tell you, you're going down the wrong path with X, Y, and Z, and we tell people that up front. And we could certainly start the project, do a bunch of change orders, and at the end of the day, they didn't get what they wanted, and they
Right.
paid more for it. We just know how things are going to wind up most of the time,
Right.
from both experience as well as just trusting our gut. So, like I said, we've talked ourselves out of a lot of business, but that's kind of what we want right now. We want to be able to pick and choose what fits for us as well as what fits for the customer, because I just don't want to collect a check from you.
Right.
You
Nor
know,
getting like you said, getting a person in a never-ending change order situation.
it's no good for anybody.
All right, you keep saying we. Who's the other we?
Well, I've got a business partner in this, and he came along with me from Truland,
All right.
and I kind of handle what I say is the front of the house.
Mhm.
I'm meeting with all the customers, dealing with all the subs, performing everything out in the field, and he's kind of the back of the house. He deals with all the financing and website and IT and all that good stuff.
Is he blue too?
Yes, he is.
He is.
He's probably more blue than I am.
Well, but I think you're extroverted enough that
Right.
Yeah, if you all are both like that, the room would explode.
Exactly.
That's a lot of personality.
Exactly. So it's a good balance for both of us. I'm more in tune with meeting with the customers, things like that. He deals with the financing and all that on the back end.
So years ago, your dad was electrical contractor, and that steered you away from it.
Right.
And then just make God laugh, tell him your plans. You come back around with all the home builders and all that.
Right.
What point did BluBuilt or the idea of BluBuilt start appearing in your mind?
I'd say 2 or 3 months in after I left the last position, it was all just the opportunity. I wasn't really seeking to go out and do the residential again. I kept all my options open.
Sure.
And then it seems like everything's kind of just pointing me in these directions. I had a friend that wanted me to build a house for him, and that fell into doing a remodel for somebody, and then it just snowballed from there. Another person called. Hey, I've got a commercial project now that I want you to go look at. We went and took a look at that, and that kind of spun us off into the commercial world. And it's this entire other just feeling, and process that we like.
Right.
I'm still the residential side. We can do in our sleep.
Well, when someone calls you with a residential need, what kind of phone call is it where you're like, you know what, I got this. This is in my wheelhouse.
Mhm.
Is there a typical thing there, or is it
We
more something that other people can't figure out?
It is. Our customers, we do better with people that aren't looking to inject themselves into it. And I'm just honest with that.
I don't mean to laugh at that.
You know exactly what I'm
yes,
talking
I do.
about here. We're more geared to the person that's like, Matt, literally, I have this problem, go solve it for me. And that's what we do, and I'm sorry.
What's a good example of that? What would be some recent project?
Well, residentially, we're trying to stick more to the kitchens and bath
Okay,
remodel.
that's a huge thing, and that actually adds value more often than
It
not.
does.
Right.
It does. So we like those, as well as whole home remodels we'll do all the time as well. And then, from time to time, we get people calling up asking us to add an addition onto the back of a house,
Okay.
something like that. So that's kind of 4 areas we're trying to focus on residentially. But again, if someone were to call us up and want a whole house built, we can certainly do that as well.
Okay.
And it just has to be the right fit.
So you're all
Yeah.
fully licensed, insured.
Absolutely.
Right.
Residentially and commercially.
Very good. All right, yeah, I for whatever reason, when I was doing my construction business, the reason I laughed when you said that was I somehow became the developer's builder.
Right.
And I ended up building 3 or 4 pretty good sized houses for some real estate developers,
Mhm.
which it was kind of like the .com area. Everybody was developing real estate then,
Right.
right? And yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I made my share of mistakes, but that was definitely an interesting.
Right.
Interesting thing. All right, well, we're going to take a real quick break for station identification. For those of you just joining us here on WABF 1480 AM, this is Focus on the Five, conversations with Baldwin County, Alabama entrepreneurs and business leaders. I'm your host, Josh Knoll, and I'm joined today by Matt Lomax of BluBuilt Contracting. All right, Matt, I know you're big on process and tracking the progress of a job. Can you take listeners through kind of BluBuilt's process? And I know not every job's the same,
Right.
but you probably walk the client through the same thing.
They're not all the same, so that's what we try to do, and I'll break it down in a way that, and I keep going back to, we fix problems, okay?
Right.
Because that kind of cuts through anything.
That clarifies.
What it does, it goes through anything, residentially, commercially, just repair oriented. So first of all, what's your problem? Is there any budget that you have to fix this problem? You know, then we're going to go through, and once we agree on the budget side of everything, we're going to go through the diligence period to create a plan and a budget to fix that problem. We're going to make a plan, and then we're going to agree on the critical path, all the deliverables that you're in charge of, all the ones I'm in charge of, what hat I'm going to wear, what hat you're going to wear through this whole process, and then execute the plan.
Perfect.
Like I said, it's kind of a generic way to look at it, but again, that lets us get into whatever the market takes us.
Gives you structure for those different
Correct.
things. Well, I know that you're big on family.
Yep.
Right? So how do you balance family and all this business? If you want to give a shout out to your wife, I know you all are very close, do a lot of things.
That's right.
Yeah, like my wife and I are just joined at the hip wherever we go, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Or I'm joined at her hip.
Right.
How do you balance all that?
Juggling every single day. You know, and in construction, I don't care what the plan is that you have, it's never going to come to fruition like you think it will. Every single day there's always some kind of issue that comes up. So it's literally just, you know, like I said, juggling balls in the air every day, having a clear-cut plan for the week, and then being able to shift around it as it comes, because it's going to. If you got kids and you're running your own business, things are just going to happen. You just got to be flexible, and it's kind of a microcosm for the business that we're in. You know, like I just said, you can have the best laid plans in the world. One person doesn't show up, that alters everything that goes on past that. So you just got to be flexible. You got to be able to have a little bit of patience, which generally I don't have, as my wife tells me all the time. But yeah, it's just every day's an adventure.
Well, you're pretty involved locally. What kind of things do you do with the family? What kind of organizations? I know we know each other through CYO basketball. I know you're in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it seems like the kids are kind of running our life right now, not the other way around. But I think we had 6 basketball games last week that we went to, and then every weekend's filled up with something. I've got a daughter that is in volleyball as well, so you know, just chasing them around, man, and you know, being involved with the CYO and you know, all the AAU basketball stuff is kind of our life right now, seems to be.
Yeah, listeners out there, if you can get a Brooks Lomax basketball card now, you might have something someday.
You may be. Mine isn't worth anything. His may be one day.
Use mine for kindling.
That's right.
What advice would you give? Not that we're old. I was on a show. I was on a show a few weeks ago, and I made the mention something about, aren't we middle-aged? And I think he about got up and walked out on me. So technically, I think we are, but not that we're old. But what advice would you give to your younger self?
Try everything. I mean, you know, I think that one of the main things that helps us out in our business is, you know, is our unique background. Like I said, my business partner was in the Army for a while. He drove trucks for a while. I was in the industrial world and in the manufacturing side of everything, and it seems like all of those things kind of lined up and are pointing to where we are today. We get people that tell us all the time, you know, like for instance, we had a machine shop we're doing the other day, and we were talking about radiuses on trucks getting in and out of the facility, and you know, my business partner said, well, it can't do that because this, and this. How do you know that? Well, I drove a truck for 2 years. Right. It's just like there's all these things that are just in our collective past that we've tried and failed at and messed up and learned lessons from. That's one of the biggest things I would say is just fall flat on your face and don't be afraid to do it and get up and go again, you know.
Amen to that.
Seek help early and often. You know, there's people out there that are willing to help you. You just got to ask. You know, and if you just be honest with folks about here's where I am and here's what want to do.
Right.
Generally, most of the time, there's good people out there that want to see you succeed versus see you fail.
Right.
And, ask for help, and, don't try to, the other thing I wrote down was don't try to be everything to everyone.
Right.
You just can't.
You can't put on too many hats.
You can't. So, we try to stay as focused as we can, but then, and trust your gut.
Right.
That's one of the biggest things I've learned throughout this process.
And
If something smells bad on the front end of
Right.
it, it's just going
It's
to
gonna get worse.
It's going to start smelling worse
Right.
and worse and worse as it goes along. So,
Any good mentors along the way?
my dad, yeah.
Tell me about it. Talk to me.
He was born and raised in Saraland, was an electrician for, better part of, 40, 50 years. But just, we say this all the time, that everything I do every day, I operate as if he were sitting right here on this side of me, and my grandfather was sitting on the other side of me.
Like it.
It doesn't make things easy.
Right.
Because when you're a kid, you want to try to get out of stuff. Dad was always there. He's here with me right now. He'll be here with me when he's gone.
Right.
And that's how we operate. If you could inject that into and talk about who we are and what we do, that's what we do. We make the right decisions every day. They're not the easiest. They're not the simplest, but at the end of the day, it's just the right thing to do. And that's kind of how we operate.
Love it. He retired now?
Yeah.
He ever come over and help you with anything?
He will when I ask him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he helps me out all the time, especially on the electrical side, and just advice for anything.
Right.
Any problem I have, he's generally ran through the same mud at one point in time in his life. So, and usually he's able to give me a good perspective on everything that I don't see.
All right, so I would consider you an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I know this may kind of fall in line with some of the advice you would give your younger self, but you probably at this point, with your status in the community, people getting to know you, you got people come up and say, how do you get in the business? Where do I start? What do I do?
Jump. I mean, that's what it is, man. It's not don't limp into it. But like I said, you're going to get your knee scraped. I can almost guarantee it. You're gonna break a bone. Something's gonna happen. Get on the bike and just ride. Right. Put some training wheels on for a while. Then start taking the training wheels off. Learn how to navigate the street when you're riding. It's trial and error, and I've never learned anything out of success. It's always been out of failure.
Amen.
So that's what I would say for anybody that's on the fence of doing it. Just do it.
Right.
Just step up and do it. Ask for help and get as much advice as you can.
Well, and what you find is in the doing, there will be doors and opportunities open up that you never could have seen.
Never my wildest dream would I have thought, going down the path that I'm going down right now, but I wouldn't trade it for the world because it's led me to here, so.
Never in my wildest dream would I have thought that I'd have a radio show on
Exactly,
Alabama.
right? Never in my wildest dreams I think I'd be sitting here.
I think this lady right here behind us, Lori DeBose, we
Right.
do. And it seems to be doing okay.
Right.
What's the future hold for BluBuilt Contracting?
More of a ramp up on the commercial side. We're kind of just dipping our toe in the water there. So we're looking for more property owners, real estate professionals, property investors. Anybody that we can just take care of your asset. Like I said, we're business owners ourselves. So what we try to do is whatever business we're going to run a project on, we always tell them, you go run the business side.
Mm-hmm.
Let us handle the construction side of it. You focus on that part of it. So we're looking for those people, like we said, that don't want to get in they don't want to get their hands dirty. Just give us your problem. I promise you we'll take care of it. And we're going to take care of it like it was our own.
And I didn't warn you this question was coming, but do you all do punch list stuff? Is that you ever brought in for things like that?
At the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, the death of 1,000 cuts.
Yes.
That's what I call it.
Oh, man.
Death of 1,000 cuts.
That's the least favorite time
It's
on
terrible.
any project ever.
At the end.
Oh.
But
So-
yeah, we've got folks that handle that for us, and we've got
Perfect.
a guy that handles the punch out side of it. So
Those guys are worth their weight in gold.
absolutely.
Now those are you and I may not have much patience, but
Right.
if you have a punch list guy, he's got to have more patience than the Pope.
Yep.
I mean,
He
because he is
does.
going to be fixing things that should have never been broken to begin with.
Absolutely.
Right.
And as far as on the residential side, kind of honing, where we want to go to and being strategic with, like I said, the kitchens and baths are where we want to focus on. And, being more specific on what we do there, and then growing the commercial part of it. So
somebody comes in, because kitchen remodel is probably a huge thing, or developing a huge thing around here. Somebody comes in, is it fairly typical what they're looking for? Are they wanting cabinets, countertops? Do y'all do any of that in-house?
We do nothing in-house. It's completely subcontracted out. So generally when somebody wants to do the kitchen, they're going to want to do, they're going to take out cabinets, take out countertops, flooring. Then we come back in, re-put cabinets, countertops, flooring, trim out, paint. But we can do anything. I mean, some people want to keep their cabinets but just have them painted. We can do that as well. There's nothing in this world yet in the construction world yet that I've found that we haven't seen, or done for the most part. You get subtle nuances every now and then, but like I said, if you have a problem, chances are we know how to fix it.
Love it. Where all do y'all operate?
Mobile and Baldwin County right now. So that's kind of our sphere, as we call it. But we can go anywhere, provided anyone's willing to pay for it.
Understood.
If we're licensed in Alabama as well as any reciprocal states beyond that. So if your budget,
Panhandle all the way. Yeah, understood. Okay. How do people generally find you?
We have a Facebook page as well as Instagram, and also on our website, so www.blubuilt.net.
And BluBuilt is BluBuilt. You dropped the E.
If I could have done anything, if we could rewound when I started this business, I'd have kept the E.
You'd have kept the E.
I have to explain it every time. Every time I tell someone the website, every time I tell someone how to do my email, I have to tell them every time, no E in the blue.
Well,
we've missed emails before. I mean, it's just like one of those key decisions that you make when you're starting out. Like, should I keep it or should I not?
I have sympathy for you because I've been Null my whole life, but I rarely am I Null.
Right.
Yeah, I'm usually NOLL or KNOLL,
Nice.
or everything but.
That's right.
And then they find out I'm in this line of work. They're like, "What kind of name is Null?"
That's right.
What I was born with. What do with it? All right. So you got Facebook, you got the website, BluBuilt.net.
Correct.
What's a good phone number to call y'all, and do y'all have a physical address people can come meet you?
We do. The phone number is 251-378-9979, and we also have an office at Point Clear Place down in Fairhope. So.
Very good. Okay. Well, anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Did we
I
cover it all?
appreciate the time.
I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate how you've always treated me and my family, and especially Ashton. Lori, we miss anything?
We good.
All right. So if you're a regular listener of the show, then you know that we also film our conversation and release it across multiple social media platforms. So I need two favors from you all. One, if you see Matt running around in public, make sure you saw him or heard him on the show. All right. And two, if you have someone you think would be a good guest, or maybe you want to come on yourself, reach out to me. You'll find my contact info at the end of this show. In closing, I want to thank my guest, Mr. Matt Lomax of BluBuilt Contracting, for joining us today, as well as all of you out there listening, and also Lori DeBose right behind us here, making sure that we're talking correctly.
That's right.
All right. My name is Josh Knoll. I'm with Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. This has been Focus on the Five, and have a great day.
That's a wrap. All right. Good job.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Focus on the Five. If you are interested in learning more about Josh Knoll and Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, you can find us at gulfcoastfa.com, call 251-327-2124, email josh.knoll@gulfcoastfa.com, or message us on Facebook. Focus on the Five is produced by Josh Knoll of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. Advisory services offered through Investment Advisors, a division of Pro Equities Inc., a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Pro Equities Inc., a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA and SIPC. Gulf Coast Financial Advisors is independent of Pro Equities Inc. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. Focus on the Five offers commentary and generalized research, not personalized investment advice. Show content is for informational purposes only and does not constitute a complete description of our investment services or performance. All investments involve risk and unless otherwise stated are not guaranteed. Be sure to consult a tax professional before implementing any investment strategy.